Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DRAFTKINGS Sportsbook. Use code DNVR to get amazing odds boosts even every single day. Rudo, Jesse, Blais coming at you live before Avs versus Islanders. Pavel Francouz in net for the Avs. Should be an interesting one given that the Avs have lost 2 in a row for, I believe, the first time since the first 10 games of the year.
Since Columbus?
Yeah. So
per Baugh, I was the first one that had Francouz as the starter.
Denied.
I'm out of here.
Denied the credit. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's start here. The New York Islanders are bad.
Not great. Not great, Bob.
Under 500. Not a team that's going to be making the playoffs. Not a team that I think even too many teams will be interested in what they have to offer. Avs allegedly at one point had interest in Cal Clutterbuck, but you're looking at that lineup, and if you're Colorado, I just don't think there's that much interesting on it.
Yeah, no, for the Avs, definitely not. The only players that I could see them, garnering some interest on, maybe a guy like Parise, Varley, who will get in net tonight.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, that's kind of the problem with that's the problem with where this Islanders team is at. Is they've been really good the last couple of years. They've gone to the conference finals 2 years in a row.
Now they're
this
not.
year has not
Yeah.
gone very well. I don't know if they're necessarily in like retool mode. And even if they are, they don't have a ton of money that they can spend.
They're kind of stuck right now.
They don't have a ton of great assets that they can move. They're just kind of in this weird no man's land zone. I don't know. There's weird group.
Hard to build assets for the future on that team for sure, and obviously not happy with where they are now.
Chara is the other one I couldn't think of. Parise, Chara, Varley, maybe.
Preezy. Or Kessel.
Kessel.
Yeah.
Just because dude.
Yeah. That video, it comes out either tomorrow or Wednesday, the Kessel video. But we do have 6 videos out now for trade deadline targets for the Avs right here on YouTube. You can go watch those before the game starts once we end this pregame. Highly recommend you check it out. Today we talked about 2 defensemen, Damon Severson and Justin Braun. I know people have been talking about the Avs getting a defenseman after last game, given it was not pretty.
Can I just, and maybe this is part of the depth thing. They're not trading Sam Girard. I just don't I don't get this. It's been in my mentions every day for the last week. They're not trading Sam Girard. Even if they were unhappy with his play, which I don't. He had a really bad game a couple nights ago. Okay,
Yep.
But if you're out of your mind if you think that you're going to move Sam Girard at the deadline and somehow end up better.
Yeah,
it's just
that's a seller move.
Right. If they decide to move on from Sam Girard, it would be something in the summer where, again, I know it is a term that you don't love, and it's a hockey trade. We're giving you Sam Girard for a good player back. It's a 1-for-1 type thing. We're addressing a weakness. You're addressing a weakness. You are not. The Avs are not in a position where you give up players like Sam Girard at the trade deadline.
And if you're doing a hockey trade, there's no team that's like, sure, we'll give you a better defenseman for Sam Girard.
Right. Yeah. We'll give you a better top 4 defenseman just in exchange for Sam Girard 1-for-1. Like it's just not going to happen. He has outplayed his contract at almost every turn. He had a rough series against Vegas. People forget that he was totally serviceable in the series. Before that against St. Louis, he had a borderline fringe Norris caliber season last year. You're not trading Sam Girard at this trade deadline. It's not going to happen. People can stop asking for it. It's just not. That's just not what a team who's in win now contention mode does. Even if they were unhappy with Sam Girard, which I don't think they are. I think maybe they're a little disappointed that he hasn't taken the step forward that he did last year. It seems like some of the Vegas series has been a little bit residual this year. But again, I don't think that
he has 24 points. It's not like he's a black hole or anything.
Right. He's been fine. He's been good enough. You hope that you can add another D next to him to maybe kind of help him eat some of those harder minutes. And yeah, you've got some great D coming in the pipeline, so maybe that is something that you start exploring as a cap room becomes more necessary. But it's not happening. It's not happening this year.
Well, and the thing that you just hit on, right, is like when you look across the ice and you have a guy that you can believe in and that's your equal, or you can feed off of something that you feel good about, you play better.
Yeah.
For sure.
And he hasn't had it this year versus what he had last year next to him, right?
Right.
So that's where you're going to see a little bit of a difference and kind of a regression this year.
Yeah.
Now, if Bo Byram gets healthy and he's back on his BS, then I think you see a different Sam Girard out there.
Yeah. And it's part of the reason why I think Jack Johnson, and now I know there are some numbers to suggest that Jack Johnson and Byram have done okay away from Girard and not as much kind of in the reverse. But, you know, I think a guy like Jack Johnson, who early in his career was one of those kind of puck-moving, jump in the play, push play up ice, I think that's why he's maybe been a little bit more serviceable of a Band-Aid than a lot of people thought he would be on that second pairing, because he's got a guy who is always, Sam Girard's always looking to go up ice. He's always looking to push the play. Again, no one's denying bad game a couple nights ago.
Oh,
the puck was
horrible.
fighting him. He was having a hard time moving the puck, catching the puck, locking guys down. No doubt. Players have bad games. He's not getting traded. I think they're going to try to get Byram back next to him. And I'd be willing to bet you feel a lot better about him when you have another guy who's capable of skating with him, moving puck up ice.
I'd be willing to bet you feel a lot better about him by the end of the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone is dunking on his worst game of the season right now. Like,
it's just there's still a lot of the lingering resentment for like Tyson Barrie and Stephen Elliott amongst Avs fans, and the whole just get rid of the small guys. Man. You're not trading Sam Girard. It's not happening this season.
Well, how about a smaller goaltender in Pavel Francouz? I know the answer to this question is no, but Darcy Kuemper's had a bad couple of games.
I'll let Blais go first.
Door open, Blais, or is Francouz still just your
I heard
backup?
some guy earlier today talking about like Francouz's ceiling is starter.
You watching bets?
I think he's a solid backup, and I think that's where he stays. And a lot of it has to do with the size of him.
Yeah.
Plays great, plays out of his mind, steals games for you, but he also tends to have those games that are stinkers. Now, one could say Kemper's done that this year as well. It's gotten pulled, right?
Yep.
So it's there, but I just think he's one of those guys that's just always going to be the backup. The bridesmaid, never the bride.
Bridesmaids still get cups.
It's true.
True.
This year, no, I don't think. I asked Bednar actually a couple weeks ago, and I said, is Darcy still the number one? And very confidently, yes, he's our number one. This is what we brought him in here for. And again, Kuemper's had 2 bad games after almost 3 full month stretch of very good play.
Right.
But I do, man. I think, and I totally get why people disagree with this. I think Francouz has a ceiling of being an NHL starter to some extent in his career.
Compared to, like, Edmonton's goaltending?
Sure. So let me put it this way. I think he'd be a huge upgrade over what several teams in the league have going right now. And I also, and this is based off of nothing other than my own personal feelings and just conversations that I've had, I think the Avs are going to try to get a deal done with him before the end of the season. And then I think they're going to dip their toe in the goalie market. Now, obviously, a lot of this depends, too, on what happens in this playoff run.
Yeah.
But I could see them saying, let's see what he's got. He honestly could have stolen that starting job from Grubauer 2 seasons ago had he not dealt with the injuries near the end of the year. People forget he started more games than Grubauer and was better statistically across the board in every category. Expected goals against, save percentage, goals against average, Like I said, more starts, more shutouts, and he's got a kind of a similar stat line. He's missing the starts this year. Kuemper's got him there. But I mean, his numbers are just rock solid. And if you go back and look at his career, Pavel Francouz has gotten better every year. KHL goalie of the year, comes over to North America, AHL goalie of the year, promoted to backup in the NHL, almost steals a job from Grubauer.
Misses a year. He's just had this upward trend his entire career. This year, I think it'll stay Kuemper unless something really kind of goes haywire. But I wouldn't be surprised at all, especially if they were to go out and win a cup this year and Kuemper wants $1 billion,
$7 million. Them just saying, we're cool rolling with Frankie and seeing how it goes.
I don't know.
Go ahead. Do you think they promote him to the first goaltender, though? Or
In a situation like that, yeah, I think they would.
I don't think they will.
I don't know. Man.
See, I think they would and then they'd go out and get a Varley type where it's like a veteran guy who can at worst kind of tandem it. I think the organization really believes in Frankie, and he's just he's shown enough every year of his career where I see that as a ceiling. I'm not saying he'll get there. I think he's got the potential.
And I think the reason he's going to stick around is no team wants to go into free agency with 0 NHL roster.
Right. Right.
Nobody wants to do that.
And he's shown enough that I think they could, again, in the right or maybe wrong circumstance, say, well, we're fine rolling with this and seeing how it goes. He's just had a good enough body of work in the NHL at this point that I would say he's at least worth a look. So much so to the point that if the Avs didn't get him re-signed ahead of free agency, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was a few teams out there that said,
I agree with that.
We'll give you a 2-year at $4 million to come try to be a number one.
Someone will do something dumb for him in free agency if he gets there. I agree with that take for sure.
Yeah, and I think he's got the potential. Don't know if he'd actually be able to handle the workload, but he played almost 40 games 2 seasons ago, and I think was a .930 goalie.
There were a lot of easy games in there, but
still, gotta stop the pucks, and he did it. I don't know. I don't think he'll beat out Kuemper, but I've been really intrigued by him since he came over. Actually, since that Olympics right before he came over when he carried that Czech team.
Yeah.
Carried them.
All right. We have seen the continuation of the rotating scratch in the Avs forward depth. Megan Angley flexing on Tyson Jost right now by eating taffy.
Oh, damn. That's cold.
Tyson Jost, a man in this conversation about the Avs depth. We've seen Jost get a scratch. We've seen Kubel get a scratch. We've seen Helm get a scratch. And tonight we're seeing Curtis McDermott get a scratch. AJ, and I'm sure Megan would probably also make a case for Mikhail Maltsev to get a shot. What is the Avs' best bottom line in your guys' opinion?
Couldn't figure out how that was. They were directly behind the light. By the way, 34 starts, 923 2 seasons ago for Pavel Francouz.
Reasonable.
Just had to look it up. Not bad. There's worse out there. Bottom 6, I don't know, Blais.
I mean, sitting Curtis tonight is the right move because basically he's been sitting on the bench most of the game.
Played 2 minutes the other night?
Just 3 seconds over 2 minutes or something along those lines, right? Like, obviously, everyone loves this whole narrative of the enforcer. Goes out there last game.
Huge scrap.
Beats the crap out of a guy that might be the missing link between humans and Cro-Magnon. But, I mean, that makes everybody feel good out on the ice. But, like, you look at this team, they don't need that enforcer. They all are tough cats. They don't shy away from, the physicality of the game or the fights that happen inside of that game. So start looking to see if you can produce something out of that bottom 6 because lately it's been kind of quiet. But, again, if the Avs do make some interesting trades, or let's just say they acquire somebody at the trade deadline, that third line could become real interesting real quick.
Yeah. No, for sure. I asked Bednar a couple days ago. I didn't outright say it this way, but I essentially said, why are you keeping Curtis McDermott in the lineup for less than 4 minutes? I said, you've pulled Tyson Jost, Abe Kubel, Darren Helm, all out of the lineup and left Curtis McDermott in. What is it? What is it about him? And the first thing out of his mouth, he said, it's the security. We like having him there as a security. And he made the comment, I don't remember his exact verbiage, but essentially like, I don't need him to be on the ice for the other team to know that he's in the game. And he said it's that. And I also do think that it's a bit of I think we discussed this on the show last week, a bit of a wake-up call for Tyson Jost. That guy is in your spot. That guy who I'm willing to let play 2 minutes. That's what I think of your play right now. And so I do think there is a little bit of it that is like I'm willing to basically go with 15 guys instead of play you right now. And so I think there's a little bit of that, but I think they do like the insurance. I think he is well liked. He works his tail off. And I kind of agree. I with what Blais just said. I think he's just trying to figure out anything that's going to produce. Anything that gets some production going.
A bit harsh, but I love this comment from Brad. Ah, yes, the fire blanket that is on fire.
Yeah. And now Bednar did also say, he goes, I thought he played some real good hockey. And he essentially said, like, he's not right now. Like, and I think we can all agree, there was a couple week stretch there where I was like, look at McDermott. Yeah. When he scored his goal and stuff like that, it's like he was jumping in, making some good reads and stuff like that. Looks like he's regressed a little bit. Yeah. Had 3 more penalty minutes than he did playing time the other night. And all he had was 1 fight. But yeah, they like having him there. I think the team likes having him around. I said it the other day. I don't think he'll be in that lineup come playoff time, but between now and then, a little bit of that intimidation factor. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. They're trying to get different looks, trying a lot with that bottom 6. I just think he's trying to find a combination that finds some type of spark, and thus far, no one on that fourth line especially has. And
the scoring is non-existent. You're not asking your fourth line to score a lot, but it is non-existent.
Right. Even just referring to the fourth line, like, yeah, Logan O'Connor hasn't done much in a while production-wise, but at least a dude fucking springs himself for a breakaway every now and then and, like, gets your pulse up a bit.
There's at least some events happening.
Right. And Newhook's on that third line, so at least between those two guys, you get a little bit of something. Like, you get a little bit of feeling in your toes. That fourth line is just like, right now, they really are, this last couple of weeks has just been get out there and hold on. And it's not you don't need a ton of production for your fourth line, but you need more than that.
Yep. Agreed. Someone asked earlier, will Maltsev get another shot? I think it's an interesting conversation because I think there's a lot of people who would like to see something like that. But at the same time, with the trade deadline coming up, if the Avs do go out and get pieces, now, maybe Kuemper moves out and things stay the same as far as bodies in front of him. But I don't think him getting into the lineup is going to get any easier as the year goes on. So, and
I know there's also salary cap implications if you start calling guys up and carrying more roster spots than you need to. Look, I get it. I know there's a lot of Avs fans who have been conditioned over the last 10 plus years to always be thinking about the rookies and what's coming next and what does the future look like. We're just right now with where the Avs are at. It's really not much of a conversation as much as you'd like to see some of those younger guys get a look. Right now, the Avs are trying to build value in those guys, and they need them lighting up the NHL so that you can sell hope. You need them eating a lot of minutes, and you need as much cap space as you can get. And if you start getting cute, calling up guys like Maltsev and Kaut, yeah, it's small, but you're playing with a really small amount of money. You start calling those guys up, and it eats into what you can do at the deadline. It eats into what you can do now. And For what? To get a look at a guy? Okay.
And that's a great point, too, is like for other teams, that means that you don't have trust in those guys.
Right.
And then you're trying to pawn them off at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not even making your lineup right now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. You're bringing Maltsev up
Yeah.
and playing him 4 minutes a night. At least you have him in the AHL and you can play like that. Oh, we're just so loaded. We don't have room for him.
Avs are so good.
Yeah.
There's just no room.
He's got to play 20 minutes a night in the AHL. And so I just don't think that between now and the deadline, you're going to be seeing a lot of call-ups unless there's injuries, stuff like that. They've got an extra forward hanging around right now. And I just think that they're fine with
leaving it at that.
We're just leaving it at that because, again, you got the first consecutive bad result since November. You lost twice in a row for the first time since November. As little as they're getting out of that bottom four, I just don't think they're that overly concerned with it. And I also just don't think that you're moving the needle very much by bringing up a guy like Maltsev and playing him those limited minutes when a lot of these games you're trying to come back. That bottom six isn't playing much to begin with, let alone a young guy who, you know there's going to be mistakes and mental errors that they're trying to work through. You're just not in a position where you're messing with that a ton.
Okay. Blais, are you going to make us some money tonight, or are you going to lose us a bunch of money?
Oh, I don't know. I went 2 for 3 last game.
You get back on the horse,
Let me
making
see
money
the
again.
Let me see the comments again.
Which comment?
Because there was someone.
That one? He thinks you're on drugs?
Yeah. Someone find me an advanced analytics model that didn't have Girard as a fringe. He didn't get any votes.
Fringe is like 15th.
Right. Yeah.
So we're clear.
Yeah.
Not like top 3 or anything.
Yeah. I also, they say listen to this 15 minutes late, so he also won't get this.
15 minutes later, he'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna.
Yeah, bets, money. I'm
go.
poor. I need more money to buy a house.
There was actually some good ones out there. So
Look at that.
looking at the assists tonight, Landy with half an assist at plus 150.
Love that.
Love it.
That
Miko,
one's easy.
another one.
Oh, the Avs could use a better game out of Miko tonight.
Yeah.
I'll say that for sure.
He was my pick on bets to
yeah. Pop off a little bit.
to get a goal. Yeah, he does
Sweet.
this. Does this
Comes
right?
back strong.
So a goal and assist. So he's going to have a 2-point night.
I actually said 2 goals and an assist.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Strong.
All right. I like it. And then this one, to get some plus money here, Avs to win on the money line with over 5.5 goals.
is that the Avs over 5.5 or the game over 5.5?
Total.
Like that.
Yeah. Plus 160. So
I think you always get good goal odds against the Isles, probably. But